The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Mid-Carolina Service Company.
Mid-Carolina Service Company is the first name to search for your residential or commercial HVAC needs in Lexington and surrounding areas.
Just go holler at Jason and Clint. They'll hook you up on the air conditioners, on the restaurant equipment, refrigerators, refrigeration, ice machine repair. They've been doing this for years. I know them cats forever.
Family owned and operated since 2006, they pride themselves in their quality work and customer relationships. Call 803-356-4153 or visit midcarolinaserviceco.com for a no obligation quote for service today.
The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by True Brilliance Entertainment.
True Brilliance is a production, promotions, and management company dedicated to connecting artists and producers across the Carolinas to music industry professionals.
Several of their clients have placements both domestic and internationally as a result of their services.
Are you an artist or producer looking to build meaningful relationships within the music industry? Then True Brilliance is for you. Check them out at paramilitary.com. That's spelled P-A-I-R-A military.com.
This episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Bob's. Bob's is a Columbia-based retailer of over 100 Black-owned products from 20 Black-owned businesses. Bob's offers a wide range of items from household cleaning, cosmetics, and everything in between. With every visit to Bob's, you support Black-owned businesses, giving them the opportunity to grow and establish connections with our community. Bob's is located inside the Noma warehouse at 2222 Sumter Street in Columbia, South Carolina. Visit their website, weshopbobs.com for in-store pickup or to find out more. Bob's can also be found via social media on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at weshopbobs. When you stop by, tell them the Hilltop Glove sent you. Bob's brings quality Black brands to the Columbia community. The Hilltop Glove Podcast is sponsored by Red Rooster Sports Bar and Grill. Red Rooster is your neighborhood bar and grill serving the best wings, burgers, and baskets in the Met.
Like the amazing food, the bar is always on tap, and there's plenty of screens to watch the big game. Red Rooster is the Midland's premier meetup spot for local car and bike clubs, fraternities, and sororities.
Staff is dedicated to accommodating all kinds of parties and events. If you're looking to catch a game, have a bite, and a drink, look no further than the Red Rooster.
Red Rooster is located at 7500 Wilson Boulevard, Columbia, South Carolina. For more information, visit redroostersportsbar.com or visit them on Facebook and Instagram at Red Rooster Sports Bar. Go where the winners go.
Welcome to the Hilltop Glove Podcast.
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 Welcome to another episode of the Hilltop Glove Podcast. I'm your host for today, Tamaya, as well as my co-host, DJ N. What. How are you guys today?
Excellent.
Doing good? All right, good. All right, so today we have the pleasure of speaking with Miss Lexie, a Columbia, South Carolina-based photographer, content creator, mom, and entrepreneur. She is the owner of a luxurious photography studio, which specializes in real estate and commercial photography. How are you today, Lexie?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's a great morning. So I just want to give people a little bit of background about you. Can you tell us about yourself before you picked up the camera and started photography?
Sure. I was born Alexis Davis. Before I picked up the camera and became Lexie KillenEm, I was a hairstylist, and I was an entrepreneur most of my life. I decided to start working a job, listening to the advice of other people. And I did that for about 6 years. And before I was a hairstylist, I was an accountant at a dealership. So I've always done hair. I've been doing hair since I was a little girl, 8 or 9 years old is my earliest memory. So yeah, I was just a regular, just working a job and with a side hustle.
That's still amazing though. So did you live in Columbia your whole life or did you move around a little bit?
I moved around a little bit. So I was born in Reno. My parents were military, and I was raised in Fort Washington, Maryland, up until I was about, I guess, 11 or 12. And then we moved to St. Louis for about a year. Then we moved to Atlanta for about a year. And then my dad retired and we ended up settling here. So yeah. So, I mean, I've been here for the past 20 years.
Okay. So I see that you do photography and you love commercial photography. How did you actually get into that? What influences, what upbringing? Did you always have a camera in your hand, or was this something that someone just pushed on you, or how did that come about?
Okay, so I love this question because the answer is not what you're going to think it is, and of course I don't know what you're thinking, but I'll just say that no, I never wanted to be a photographer. I was at a place in my life where I was broke. I was broke, and I was trying to do everything my way. I was working a job, like I said, listening to the advice of my mom. She was like, you need to, because I was a high school dropout. So I was, call me Defiance. If Defiance had a picture by it, I'm that. And so I literally was working at this dealership. I hated this job. I really couldn't do hair much anymore, which is the only thing that I knew how to do, that I knew that I would do because I had done it for so long. But even the job that I had taken me away from it because of demanding hours at the job. So I was just kind of praying. I was learning how to pray, learning how to just talk to God, and just, I was doing a lot of crying, doing a lot of talking, taking advice from other people. None of that stuff was working. So a friend of mine told me pray. And I said, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just going to pray. And I literally just followed. There were doors that were closing for me that I was trying to open, beat down. And those weren't working. So the doors that were opening, I really had no choice. I was a single mother. So I started going towards the doors that were opening and just trusting God. And the camera just kind of came about. I was working at a studio, a friend of mine. To make a long story short, they were some hustlers that were trying to get out of the streets. They opened a recording studio. And because I had accounting background, they were like, hey, you should come over here and help us out on the paperwork side. And I just realized that I had a place there. I was able to help out a lot more than I thought. And that's kind of how the camera was born. It was the music industry needed, I know I'm sounding long-winded, but I'm trying to get to the point. The music industry at the time.
You got all day.
I know you'll cut some of this, but at the time, the music industry, I had written a song just playing in the studio one day, working with these guys. And the song actually was a hit. It took off. DJs were requesting it. I mean, asking me to bring it to the club that they were spinning. And a friend of mine she's been an artist for years. And she invited me to a show that she was doing on Mother's Day at a place on Broad River. I can't remember the name of it. It's changed so many times. I think it was called Scores at the time. But she invited me to come, and she was like, friend, I want you to come rock the stage with me. And so I had just recorded my song just for fun, like I said. And the guy that was DJing the event was waiting for artists who were showing up late. If they weren't late, then they didn't have their CD or DVD or jump drive or any of that stuff. They just weren't prepared. Well, I just happened to have a jump drive, a disc, and the guy thought that I was an artist just by the way that I was looking. And I was like, no, I'm not an artist. And I said, it's funny you asked me that because I just recorded a song. And so he wanted to hear it. I let him hear it. And he basically was like, no, you got to get up there and perform this. He was like, you got to get the mic.
Wow.
And I'm like, I wasn't here for this. I'm here for the fun. And so he put the song on. The crowd went crazy. And that's kind of where it was born. I realized I never wanted to be in the spotlight. I realized that I had all these friends and I knew what they needed. I knew that if I could just give them what I had, people were starting to notice me.
You're the reluctant star.
Yeah, people were starting to notice me, like in the streets, at clubs. Lexie, KillenEm, can I take your picture? And I'm like, wow, And so that's how the camera was born. I literally built a platform called The Buzz, where I would just give them exposure. And that's how I started with the camera. I know that's a long story, but that's how it started. I wasn't trying to do this. I just remember somebody asking me, what do I want to do when I was trying to figure it out? And they said, and the only thing I could think of was help people. So sorry about that long-winded.
No, that is fine.
We
That's
want to get to know you. You're perfectly fine. And we won't cut any of that out, right, Kevin?
We'll keep the whole spiel because people need to hear those stories so that they can understand that people don't just fall into these positions out of nowhere. Like, you know, there is a process that comes along with it, and it's good to hear the process because it's all about the journey, man. It's all about the journey, you know? But I know you were speaking about this and about those early beginnings. You have so many different creative talents, okay? And this is an interesting point because a lot of creatives, when you're trying to take the creativity and make it worth your while, i.e. monetize it, there's usually a struggle. And I know, as you were saying, your mother wanted you to work a regular job, but you know, you knew how to do hair and that's normally what you would have done. You could fall back on that because it's easy to monetize. But going into a new endeavor, one that you haven't monetized in before, you hadn't been out there as an entrepreneur, what was the biggest difference that you saw when you got jumping into this photography and et cetera between being an artist and a creative? Because, like, you know, it's hard to say this like this, but like an artist, you're doing it for the love of whatever you're doing it for. Sometimes you aren't even looking for money, but as a creative, that's your work. You're there to make it an enterprise. What do you think the biggest difference is between those two? And do you feel that there's a difference in opportunities for Black creatives versus other groups when it comes to monetizing, you know, their work?
I don't, because nowadays we have access to the World Wide Web. So as soon as internet came out, that's basically how I made a name for myself. It was through the internet. And that's when I realized the power behind it, which is why I do commercial marketing at this point, because you can literally reach millions of people with one click. You know what I mean? If you just have the right content and you know how to target your market, anybody can do this at this point. But to answer your question about monetization, that's how you do it. You get online, you build an audience, you let them you just have to be consistent. It's all about consistency. And you're not out here looking for people to support you who you know. What you want is to support us who don't know you.
Oh, explain that, because we had a guest up here, Mr. Yo Shane, and he was talking about the fact that he doesn't even promote his music in South Carolina. He promotes it outside of South Carolina and internationally. And he actually broke in Africa, which is interesting to say that. Wow. And when you said what you just said, I was like, cling, that just ticked me. I said, that's exactly the point he was making. Can you explain that to folks, what you mean by how you get out there and reach people outside of your community and go find your quote unquote tribe elsewhere?
Yeah. So like, for example, now this might sound kind of messed up, but it's the truth. And I'm all about the truth because that's the only way we can accomplish anything. But most people, entrepreneurship, business, ownership, all that stuff is new to the Black community. It is. Our ancestors have not been business owners for years and years and decades and so on and so forth. But so most of us that are working jobs are living paycheck to paycheck. Let's just be honest. So we don't have the extra money. Those people don't have the extra money to support your entrepreneurial endeavors. They just don't. So people tend to get mad and think, oh, they're not supporting me. How do you know they can't afford to? Because I know when I was working a job, I would love to have supported my friends. I couldn't, though. I just couldn't. I mean, if I had taken $100 and bought a pair of shoes or a hoodie, I would have been taking food out of my kid's mouth. So we have to get out of the mindset of thinking that everybody's against us, because when you get stuck there, now you're not thinking about there's a whole world of people who are definitely for you, and everybody is not for you. And you're not looking for everybody. You're just looking for people who want what you have. And so in order for you to find that, you got to get out and network. You got to get out and meet new people. That's just the bottom line. So the internet is one way to do it. And other ways to do it is to get out and travel. There's all types of events that you can look up on the internet, on Facebook, on Instagram. Attend some of those events, shake people's hands, get to know those people, because those are the people who are like you. Most of those people who are doing business are the people who can support you and will support you. You know what I mean? And then I'm sure once your friends and family get a chance, they will support you. But you can't get mad if people don't like, what you have. You aren't for everybody. The focus is who is for you.
That's so true.
Don't take things personal.
That's so true. Don't take
Don't take things personally. People do that all the time.
It's not personal. It's business.
It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard as a creative not to take things personally, because you're like, well, somebody should like my creative process, but it's all about learning.
I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Like, I understand that. But we have to take the being sensitive out of, this is not about friendship out here. This is not for the weak. You can't wear your feelings on your sleeve in business. You got to be mindful of the things that people are saying about you, because it does help you constructively in your business. But you just can't take those things personal. You just can't. You got to keep your personal feelings out of it.
And I think that's the big difference between being an artist and a creative. That right there, what she was just saying. Yes.
Can you explain the importance of, like, everybody is a brand? I feel like people don't understand how important they are. Like, anything that you promote, like, you are literally a brand. You can build off your own yourself. So can you, like, tell us about how you've done that?
Yeah. So first of all, I am LLC'd because I'm not out here to just, one thing we don't know a lot about is business taxes, filing taxes as a business, because we could be doing all this stuff in vain if we don't understand that everything that I do, I have to be present for my kids, and I'm not out here just doing this for fun. So I have to know the paperwork side of things. And so when I branded myself for that reason. When I file my taxes, I want to be able to get the business tax perks, to be able to have all the tax write-offs, to be able to have my kids as employees on my business, to be able to build business credit, to be able to. So for me, branding is more so about that. It's about the paperwork side of it. But on the non-paperwork side of it, you have to brand yourself, because if you think about all the big businesses that are out here, Walmart, or the big corporations, names, Nike, they all have to have some sort of umbrella. Even all the products that they put out, that consistency has to be there in order for people to get to know who you are. If you're just kind of, if none of your branding is consistent, like if you got a different name on Facebook and a different name on Instagram, and you're going by something else here, nobody's going to ever know who you are, because you have all these different names. And most people nowadays, when they're looking for a product, they're Googling, the luxurious photography. And the more places they can see your brand come up, the more legit. I mean, you got to think about it. There's so much scheme, internet scams going on. You got to be consistent. So you want to brand yourself and take some pride into that branding. Like I said, get your personal life out of it. Keep it all business. Cross your T's, dot your I's, and make sure you have a place online, if you're an online business, that people can find you, and be consistent across all platforms with your name and your branding and your logo and so on and so forth. But for me, I literally took my name, because my name is Alexis. My birth name is Alexis. And I like to call my style of photography a luxury style of photography. And so that's how my business name was born. I chose something that it was unique. You want something that's unique. Mm-hmm. You want something that's catching, that basically says what you do without saying what you do. You know what I mean? But yeah, branding is important. It's really important, because we're businesses. We're not just playing out here. You really have to take this serious, and your receipts, and file your taxes, and make sure you're getting those gas getting those gas receipts and repair bills and studio time. If you're an artist, taking those receipts and keeping them and turning them into your tax preparer, because all that stuff it'll affect your brand. If you want to see your brand grow, you gotta you got to take it serious. You got to be a business woman or man about this.
That's a big Dr. Claude Anderson point. Yeah, no, it answered the question. That's a big Dr. Claude Anderson point. He recently has been very big. He's always been about this, but about Black folk getting their business together properly, having good business acumen, being professional about their work, how they are perceived out here in the community, especially with branding and the product, the how do you say, the quality of the product that you're putting out. And the quality of your product is excellent, I might say. So I've been, man, and it is very innovative. I was reading one of your posts and you're talking about how you had to basically, you took what you were doing when COVID hit and you found a new way to get it done. And it's so darn innovative. I was showing this to my fiance last night. I was like, look how cool this is. And I guess this leads into the next point of finding your creative niche. And I know being a creative, I always tell people it's fun. You have a lot of fun doing it, exciting. But if you want to have it be worthwhile and you want to create a lane and make sure that you can make something out of it, you have to find your niche. You have to find a place where you can insert yourself in and actually give something to whatever culture or et cetera that you're in. Do you have any advice you could share with other creatives looking to find their niche as a creative and an entrepreneur?
I do. I'm glad you asked that question too. I would say that to find your niche, this is what I did, and that's something I can tell you. I was always the type of person that, remember I told you I dropped out of high school. So I had to figure out another way to do this thing. Plus I was a mom early. I was a mom at 20. So I couldn't go to college. I needed to be home. So what I did was I always got jobs. First of all, to find your niche, usually it's whatever you love to do for free. What people most commonly call you for. If you're always getting called for, can you come install this fan? And you're like, yeah, sure, I'll come do it, or come fix this appliance. And that person's always, you're willing to do it for free. That's, to me, what God gave you to build off of. And if you just do that with the passion.
That's the best I've heard that put.
Yeah, if you just do that with the passion that if you just continue to do that for free, eventually a paycheck will come. People will say, no, I have to pay you for this. No. Like, you know what I mean? And that's how it happened for me. But also, like, let's just say for me, photography. When I first picked up the camera, like I said, I was doing videography. I was doing this for free. I loved it. And I just wanted to help people. I really did. I wanted to help them get noticed, get recognized. And I realized shortly after that, like, man, there's so many different types of cameras. Like, let me start exploring, because I wasn't making that much money. And I realized at some point, like, okay, Alexis, you need to start getting paid here. That you're spending a whole lot of time. You know, you get to that point where you're giving more than you're receiving. Yeah. I was there. I was burnt out. And so I just decided so that goes back to my original point. What I did was, I've always been the type of person where, because I can't go to college, I have this child, this baby, I need to be able to get a job. If I wanted shoes, I got a job at a shoe store. When I wanted to learn accounting, I got a job at a dealership. When I wanted to learn photography and the business side about photography, I took a job with Picture People, which is a portrait company that has studios all over the United States. And I became the studio manager because I wanted to learn and to see if portrait photography is where I wanted to be. I aligned myself with that. I started meeting, I met this old guy. He's got a company called Midlands Action Photography. I just happened to be sitting in a car wash with a name tag on. My point is, you got to be willing to try different things within that scope. But I met this guy named Mike, and Mike said, he saw my name tag and he said, oh, do you take pictures of kids? Are you able to take pictures of large groups of kids? And I said, that's all I do. Because Picture People, most people who do portraits are children. You know, think about it. When we get grown, we're taking pictures, no more of us. But we document that. So I said, yeah. He said, well, look, I need another photographer. And so because I was trying to figure out where my footprint went in this field, I was willing to try all types of photography. So I got into sports photography dealing with him. So I went from videography to portrait photography to sports photography. Then I had what else have I done? I've done boudoir. I've done, which I know I'll never do again. I don't like doing naked photo shoots. Looking at,
oh no,
I do.
I just, it's so awkward. It really is. I mean, I think women's bodies are beautiful. I think men's bodies are beautiful, but it's just not my thing. But I've tried it all. And the 3D virtual tours is where I'm at now. I'm going to tell you why I stuck
that's
with
so
it.
dope.
Here's why I did this one. Real estate, I realized that real estate was my niche because remember I said if you want shoes, you get a job at a shoe store. You want to learn photography, you get a job at a photography studio. Well, I want to design luxury. I know that photography, when you're an artist, you have so many things you want to do. I know that photography is not going to be the end all be all for me. It's a vehicle for where I want to go.
Mm-hmm.
I want to design a luxury real estate. And I want a big house. And I don't understand, between me and my old man, we have 4 kids and 1 on the way. So I know we're going to need a pretty big house. I don't understand real estate. I really don't. I don't understand how we get into it. How do we get low interest rates? I was trying to understand this whole credit thing. So the easiest way for me to do that was surround myself by people who knew that, and who better than to take pictures for than real estate agents.
That is so smart.
So,
you built the door. You go into the door. You built your own door.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so if I know that I want to, you got to think about how much money you want to make. I know that I want a 4,000 to 6,000 square foot house. So I got to start making money with the big dogs. So I got to start hanging with the big dogs. I have to start providing services for the big dogs. Portrait photography, I wasn't making any money. There's a ton of photographers out here, a ton of them. So I was always taught that if you want to make money, the best businesses are the ones where people have to come to you to get a service, or that you have a service that people have to come back to you to get. A service that people need, not people want. So I had to
need it.
Yeah, for portrait photography is a want, not a need. They only take those pictures when they want them. They don't need to have pictures on the wall. They have camera phones. So how do I get into the need? Real estate, healthcare, those type of industries, they're always a necessary. They always need photography. So that's where I'm at with it now. But that's how I found my niche. I tried it all. Anything that wouldn't degrade me or that wasn't, illegal, I tried it.
Big point. Yes. Big point. Big point.
It didn't go outside my morals. I tried it. Yeah. You just have to be willing to get in the mix.
Photography as well. So I'm trying to figure out what area my niche is. So right now I'm trying it all. So I appreciate that advice, especially for creatives. I know it's hard out here when you don't really have a certain guideline. You just really just trying to figure out what's your thing. What's your purpose?
No lie about that. I know I was researching about that question because I just wanted to see what other folks said about it. Man, I couldn't find anything about that. I'm telling you, wow. It did not exist. That's why I told you, the way you expressed it and explained it was the best that I heard it of anybody.
Yeah, you simplified it so uniquely.
Yes. And I think a lot of our audience are going to like that.
It's a lot easier than we think to get where we're trying to go. College is an option. I'm not down in college. I didn't go that route. But if you didn't go to college, that doesn't mean it's the end all be all, because I felt like that before. And I'm telling you, it's just about placing yourself around the right people and going into the job saying, I'm not going to be here forever, but I'm here to learn something, because that's the only way you're going to be able to learn is to watch somebody else that did it. You can't, you know how some people are like, I ain't getting around. I'm not asking them for no help. Well, you better. You better. It's the only way you're going to learn.
You're so humble, man. You're so humble.
That's funny that you say that, because for me, when I went to college, they pulled the creativeness out of me. But then when I graduated, I felt like, dang, I wasted so many years. Now I got to hustle and bustle and catch up on figuring out what I want to do. Because you spent 4 years focusing on your craft. And it's like, I could have been in the streets hustling, surrounding myself with better people. So it's like how you look at it.
Yeah.
But I know being a creative, you get judged a lot, and people stereotype you as, being like, you might just be a broke artist. Do you experience that at all?
Of course. Of course. I've had people who, you know, they want stuff for free. But they don't realize that this is how I pay my bills. They assume that I'm just doing this for fun because it looks fun. You know, walking around with a camera, I don't have to answer to anybody else. I'm just kind of free to do what I want to do when I want to do it. People don't take that serious because they think, like I've had, even my old man has told in the beginning of our relationship, he said to me, you need to get a job. And I was so offended because I was working my ass off. This is my job. You know,
excuse me, sir.
Yeah, right. I was like, what? This is my job. But people tend to, but when they're used to punching the clock and taking orders from someone else, to them, it looks like I'm doing nothing. I don't know. I'm the butcher, baker, and the candlestick maker in this business.
They think you having fun. Like this is
I'm just effing off, and that is not what's going on. I have to do the marketing. I have to do the consulting. I have to do the actual. I'm self-employed as well as an entrepreneur. Yeah. I have to do the hiring, the customer retention. I have to do it all. Whereas employee just goes to clock in and they take orders from someone and they just sit down. I have to do the budgeting, the tax filing. I have to do it all. So yeah, I get it. I get it all the time. But usually once I explain to somebody, you know, I would love to help you out, but unfortunately, this is my business and I have bills to pay. And so I can't do that for free, or, you know, I'll be able to help you in this way, but I can't help you in that way. But yeah, I get it all the time. It's just, it's that learning curve, y'all. We, like I said, I don't take it personal a lot. I try not to as much as possible because we are new to business. When I say we, the African-American community, the Black community, a lot of us are new to business ownership. So, you know, it's to be expected.
I can learn a lot from you. Isn't she so humble?
Yeah, I can learn a lot. I will be talking to you soon.
Hey, feel free. I love to build a network because it's a lonely process out here. I swear it is. It's like you against the world.
Yeah. So as you know, anyone who has ever started their own business knows that it's a tremendous amount of work. It sounds really sexy to set your own hours and stuff like that. But in reality, it means you have to figure everything out by yourself. Like you said, how do you balance your professional ambitions and being a mother?
Oh, I got it all wrong first. So I can definitely tell you what not to do. I felt like I had something to prove when I was out here at first. Because I had so many people against what I was doing. Get a job, you know. So I was on a mission to prove them wrong. And that's the wrong way to go about this. You can't do this for other people. You have to remember why you started this in the first place and stand on that. Because I found myself working with the wrong energy. You understand what I'm saying? Like what I mean by that is I was doing it out of anger, out of I'm going to show you. And all of that energy I was putting into my business instead of me going into it with a peaceful mindset, I was overworking myself mentally, spiritually, physically. I was thinking, you know, I have to do this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day because I have to work that much harder. You know what I mean? Because they're against me or I'm not working a job. But I literally had to take a break. I took a 6-month break from it all. I just opened back. I took a break from April until September this year. I just opened back up. So I'm just getting on the other side of that hill of learning how to take care of yourself and being a mother at the same time. You know, so being a mom is so demanding because the baby's there. You have them and they're attached to you from that point forward. And I'm the type of mom where my kids come first. But I had to learn, Alexis, you come first, because if you're not straight, then no one else around you can be straight. You know, nobody else is going to be good. And that energy passes on through your business. I was finding myself frustrated with customers. And when I once loved doing this, you know what I mean? So what I would say to that, if you find yourself in that point or before you get to that point, put yourself first. go for a walk. How I balance it, I start my day with me. I had to remember to put myself back on my schedule. Put me. Just me without the kids, me without a business. I had to remember about Alexis. And one thing I realized is I had never taken care of me. I had never done that. I lived my whole life trying to please my parents. And then once I had kids, I'm trying to please them. And then, when you have a man, you're trying to please him. And I didn't know who the hell I was. You know what I mean? So now I put myself on my schedule. I start my day with, it's all about, you have to balance yourself spiritually, mentally. I start myself with nature. I start myself with a clean breakfast, water, sea moss. It's all of those things really have a lot to do with your daily life and your business. You won't get as far as you think you will if you're not eating right, because you're going to get sick. You're going to get sick, number one. Number two, God is God in all of this. We don't know what we're doing. You know what I mean? I don't know. I didn't stumble across these things. I was literally divinely guided to a lot of this stuff. And it was in the times where I was quiet, where I was sitting with myself, when I was fasting, when I was praying, when I was eating right, walking outside by myself, no phone, no Facebook, none of that stuff. It's taking care of self. You take care of yourself and everything else will follow. And so how I balance that is by taking care of I put myself first, not my kids, not my business. Alexis, what do you need today?
Yeah, I'm so happy because a lot of mothers feel like they need to put other people first, and they sacrifice a lot throughout their whole life. But I don't think people understand the importance of, if you're not healthy, you can't do anything for nobody. Like, you came in this world by yourself, you will leave this world by yourself. Everything here on this earth is borrowed or loaned to you. You have to appreciate it in fullness. So thank you for being so transparent.
Yeah, we're taught that, though. If you think about it, from day one, we're taught to please other people, right? And I love school, but school is the first place that teaches you to listen to you're in school doing this work because someone else wants you to do it. You go to college to get a job. That's someone else's dream. You know what I mean? It's always like, but there's no place that I know of in school, no class that says, I think there should be a class that's called like, who are you? where they just sit you down and there's no curriculum and there's literally just open space for you to just, maybe there's crayons and there's paint brushes and there's tools. And you just do you and figure out who you are. And maybe you write that down, and then class, day number 2 is, all right, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what would you like to do next? Or whatever. It's just a creative thinking class. Like, I just think that we're just not taught how to do this. We're not taught
self-awareness.
There you go. Self-awareness.
They don't want you to be aware. They don't want you to know yourself. Once you know yourself, once you tap into your higher self, your highest self, you will succeed. And they don't want you to do that.
It's too dangerous.
Man, we'd be too powerful.
Yep, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I mean. For them, it'd be a problem. For us, it'd be great.
It'd be great. It's freedom like no other. It really is. I can't even, I didn't even know that life could be this good. I didn't know that. I just had no clue, y'all. I didn't. But I'm thankful that I know now. And it's still a struggle. I have to still remember to say no, if I haven't done me yet. Because first, people, first thing in the morning, my kids, Mom, can you, I haven't done me yet. Give me a minute.
Right.
Give me a minute. I'm just collecting my thoughts here.
I respect that. Now, what advice do you give to your kids as far as, being more self-aware or learning themselves?
I tell my kids, I don't force school on my kids. I ask my kids, who are they? I talk to them a lot about what their desires are. I just ask them about how they feel. And the main advice I give them is to go for it. Whatever it is whatever you want to do. I definitely, my kids, I wanted to show them how to run a business. So they carry camera bags, set up equipment. They even do a couple shoots sometimes while I do the posing, if that's the case. And my daughter, she has a job right now, and I encouraged her to go do it because I feel like if you're able to see both sides, working a job and then what it's like to be able to make your own schedule, and, the entrepreneur side of it, then she'll be able to decide what she wants to do. But I know for me, I wasn't shown both sides. You know what I mean? So if we know better, we do better. So my advice to them is to follow their heart. And I do not, this might sound crazy to some people, but I don't care. I tell my kids, if you want to drop out of school, just be upfront with me. Don't go to school and make me look like a fool and you ain't even in there doing what the hell you're supposed to do. If you don't want to go to school, that's fine. That's fine.
A good point.
Look, what's crazy? My kids are straight A students. They love school, but I was the exact opposite because school was forced on me. And my kids love school, but they know that I don't care if they don't go to college, because if they don't go to college, then as long as they tell me, then we can sit down and make a game plan on how there's a million ways to skin a cat. Let's sit down and make a game plan on what do you want to do and other ways to get that done.
Creativeness. I love it. You just stay creative with them. It's always a different perspective of something.
That's right.
I want to know more about virtual tours. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. So 3D virtual tours, well, I picked up my first camera in 2017, and I just happened to stumble across the technology. I think the first camera was built in 2015. The first camera was put out on the market. Well, it was too tech forward at the time. And so how I ended up looking for it, I found a 360 camera. Do y'all remember when Samsung put out Samsung started putting out the Notes and all those different phones, the Galaxies and stuff?
Yeah.
They came out with this camera that was called, what was it called? It was a little, if you bought the phone, you got the camera, right? But what it did was it took 360-degree photos. So you just sit it in the middle of a room, hit, shoot or take the picture, whatever you call it, button is to take the picture you controlled it from your phone, and it would take a panorama 360 degrees in the room. Well, the problem was, I said, man, this is dope. You know how many things I could take pictures of and sell to people? Like I could take pictures of insides of cars, insides of houses. Well, the problem was the pixels of this camera was so low, it just didn't look like the money I was trying to make. So I was Googling. Yeah. I was like, I can do this, but I need some more money. So I Googled, I was trying to find different types of 360 cameras. So I stumbled across the technology that I own now, which is called Matterport. Well, I saw this camera. This camera was $4,000, but man, what it did, I was blown away. And I was just reading the reviews. I was joining groups of people who own the technology, which it wasn't many people then because of the price point of the camera. I started seeing the pros and cons of it, but I could see the future in this. I knew that first, I knew the importance of investing in yourself. An investment is not something that comes to you right away. You put your money up and it grows over time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I said, man, if I get into this right now, and I saw the market predictions for it, reading Forbes and stuff like that. And the market predictions were saying that in 2020, it was a $2.8 billion industry. And I was like, man, I got to get into this. I got to invest in one of these cameras. And so I did. I bought my first camera. I own two of them now. I bought my first camera and I just started. What it does is it allows people to virtually from your internet browser walk through a space or a place. So you don't have to leave home to tour a hotel, make reservations at a restaurant, see where you want to go in and see where you're going to be sitting. Maybe you have someone in a wheelchair and you need to be able to have wheelchair access. You can literally go to these places from your internet browser. Because how many times have you booked a hotel from off of the internet, and then you get there and it looks like a matchbox? Like it looks so huge from the picture, and then you get there and it's like, this ain't no way in the world.
Then you mad at the photographer, whoever they are.
Yeah, it's like false advertisement. So, but like I said, going towards the real estate thing, I said, this is going to get me in the door where I need to be, because I'm going to have something that people need, but they have to come back to me to get it. And so I looked at how many other owners there were in Columbia. There weren't any. So I had no competition, right? And then that was what I was really looking at. It was 1 million DSLR camera owners, 1 million portrait photographers, 1 million sports photographers, 1 million boudoir. I'm like, no, this isn't it. So, but how I got into the photography, after I bought, let me get back to what I was saying. After I bought the technology, I literally just started asking people, friends, family, hey, can I photograph your house with this new technology? You know what I mean? And so that's how I built my portfolio. I did my own house. I did my parents' house. When I would go out of town to Atlanta to see relatives or friends, I would ask them. And it's a benefit for them because when you have like a fire in your house or a flood or something like that, you want to have some documentation on what was in your house. So you can
wow, look at you. Yeah, that's amazing.
The virtual tour can capture everything that's in there. And on top of that, you can measure from inside of this virtual tour. So let's just say you need to have floor replaced. You can send the file that I give you to your contractor and they can measure from the virtual tour and go get the carpet. You can send it to everybody, whoever you need, the painter, the carpenter, the whoever, all your contractors. Just send it out and they can get what they need. But COVID really pushed this through because you remember when COVID came in, people still wanted to buy houses, but now we got to figure out how do we do it without close interaction with people? How do I get people in and out of this house? And there was a lady who called me. She had a doctor as a client. She was a real estate agent. Her name is Nicole Johnson from YIP Premier Real Estate Brokerage. But Nicole called me. She said, it was on a Wednesday. She's like, hi, do you do virtual tours? I Googled and you were the only company that I found. And she said, I have a doctor whose house I need to sell. And he told me that I need to figure out how to get it sold without having all these people in and out of my house. He's a doctor, a surgeon.
Wow.
So he said, find one of those people who do that virtual tour thing and get them here. And she found me and she said, how soon can you come out and do it? And I said, well, how soon do you need it? And she said, Saturday. I was out there Saturday. I did the virtual tour and she sold it to a couple, I think in Maryland, from the virtual tour. Just recently, I had a lady from here, Shanika, who's with EXP Realty. We sold her house. She had an open house for, I think, 2 days, like a Saturday and Sunday. I think it was Halloween and Halloween Eve, like that Saturday and Sunday. And she had, I think she said 3 people to the physical open house that came. She had 156 visits to the virtual tour.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about.
In 9 days. 9 days. I know we broke a record. They bought it. They put their offer in from the virtual. They never stepped foot physically into this house. So this is a game changer for so many people. Realtors actually work really hard. They have to go to listing showings. They're not getting paid until this house closes on. Mm-hmm. They're spending a lot of gas money, a lot of time away from their family. This is, entrepreneurs, we are basically problem solvers. This is a problem solver for the real estate industry, as well as the buyer industry, because you don't have to risk yourself getting sick. You don't have to waste your gas. Everything's gone up right now. You can be home
everything, yes,
and buy and sell literally from these virtual tours. So I'm thankful for COVID. I know a lot of us, I've lost family members, but on the other side of it, I'm so thankful that I invested in this when I did, because I hit the mark, you know what I mean? And it's just beginning to take off, and I can't wait to see what the future of this is, because that's where we're headed. It's virtual everything. And right now it's a need. It's necessary. People are looking for it. They're like, hey, so do you provide virtual tours? And the realtors are like, look, I need somebody. You know what I mean? So I look forward to expanding and hiring. And
I was just about to ask you that. People need to know.
Yeah, I am hiring. I got 2 cameras. I need to put people on them. If anybody owns a camera, hit me up. I definitely.
I will be hitting you up, girl.
Yeah, if you own a camera, I can put your contract out. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I'm trying to take over the whole Southeast of the United States, at least Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, and surrounding areas, because why not? Let's get this money. And it's enjoyable. It's I love doing it. Love doing it.
Man, I like the point that you made. I hope people paid attention to that, especially audience, that everything is becoming virtual. Do not sleep on the game. Get yourself in position to be ready for this virtual world. If not, you will be left behind, penniless, because even the money's going that way. So, like, you better get ready. I'm happy you said it, because that's one of the things that made me really stoked about talking to you today and listening to what you had to say about these things. Was when I was looking at the thing, they said 4K, 3D. What? I said, this can't be real. That's what I was saying. I was showing my fiance. I was like, yo, look how dope this is. We just go walk through all these houses and we can figure out what we like. And we don't have to go anywhere. Because when we were first riding around looking for places up here, when I first moved up here, man, we spent so much money on gas driving place to place. Even though you had like the setup where you could, be there by yourself, just get the key at the door, go and walk yourself through the house. You're still having to go do it. Still got to clean yourself, make sure you're correct when you come back. You have to go to all these locations. You got to ride through all these neighborhoods, spend your gas money, eating while you're doing this, all this stuff. You have to have time. And I was just like, yo, this is what we needed then. And I was just like, yo, this is dope. This is one of the coolest products I've seen from any of our guests that we've had up here, because it's so darn innovative. So I must give you kudos for that. Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I give kudos to the big guy, because I'm telling you, I wouldn't have found this if I was not praying and fasting. I wouldn't have. If I was just still trying to do what I was wanting to do, man, I wouldn't be where I am today. I swear I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't.
You're so humble, man. I'm not gonna. I keep saying that because you're the epitome of it. Yeah, you kept it real.
Thank you. That's all I can.
She's like, thank you.
See, she can't even.
But I like your journey, your process. I like to tell people, like, if you find something you like, walk towards it, and the universe will meet you halfway and conspire things towards your favor. And you are a true definition of that. So it was nice meeting you and talking to you.
Likewise, I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me. This has been dope.
Do you want to tell anybody any upcoming projects you're working on, or a market that you would like to reach out to?
Sure. So if you book me for any photography of any property, you automatically get a virtual tour right now. It is not an option, because I know how necessary it is for you to keep your doors open. You got to evolve. So if you need any type of marketing for your brick and mortar business, give me a call, 597-BUZZ, 803-597-BUZZ. And the virtual tour comes with it. You get a yard sign, if it's a house, where people can scan it from the curb and virtually tour that place without even having to get out their car. And that is going for $250 right now. So hit me up. Also, for portrait photography, I have a Christmas special running that comes with 3 poses for $75 and Christmas cards. So
hey, there we go.
Yep, you get 3 backdrops, 3 poses. It is the season. Yep, let's get the people. Everybody's home now, so your kids are home. There's no reason you can't beat that. There's no other time you can get everybody in one household to get pictures taken except Christmas and Thanksgiving. So hit me up. Same number, 597-BUZZ, and you can find me on all platforms under Luxurious Photography Studio. That's Instagram, Facebook, and even LinkedIn. So let me know if you need me. Give me a call. Hit me up, send me a message. I'm your girl. If you're looking for a job and you got a 3D camera, or you're willing to be trained, hit me up. Let's get this shmoney.
I like the way you promote yourself.
I love her style. I love your style, man. It made my day. You got a smile on my face this whole time.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank y'all.
Well, go ahead, Tamaya. I guess is there anything else that we have to bother her with? Because I know we've been picking her hard. We made her work today.
No, she's good. I can pick her brain off off the grid.
Well, man, we definitely appreciate you coming up here on our platform, gracing us with your presence, your wisdom, your understanding, your life experiences. We are very grateful for it. Like I said, we build this platform because we want folks in our age, we're growing up the way we've grown up and stuff, to have some kind of understanding. I'm happy that you made that point of letting people know that, hey, it hasn't been long that we've been business owners, et cetera. And a lot of us young folk out here trying to become entrepreneurs, trying to find our way, find our niche, figure out what's going on. We need to hear from folks who have done and been through certain struggles, understood how to find their ways out of certain ditches, because there is no better teacher than experience. So, yes, I must say we do appreciate that. And man, just to close out for today, I do want to say blessings to everybody. I want everybody to be safe out here moving around, because all this bad, weird news and stuff that we get nowadays is just let you know to make sure that you are thankful for your people, especially going into this holiday season. I want everybody to enjoy it and have a good time, but be safe out there. And of course, this will conclude this episode of the Hilltop Glove podcast. I'm signing out. I want everybody... Appreciate it. And of course, we'll make sure to post all the information that you did drop for us when this episode is out, so our folks in our audience will be able to get to it. And other than that, man, everybody be easy. Have a good Saturday, and peace.
That's it for today's episode of the Hilltop Glove podcast. Make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Hilltop Glove.